Our UPS tier change, effective almost now. So my name is Karen Grant, and I'm going to be your instructor today, and we are very happy to have you. Moving right into it, this is this is kind of sudden, right? We received notice not that long ago. I think this is a record. We had to update PostalMate or get this update ready in, I think we had 11 days notice. So the big question is why now? And why was I not notified earlier? And will FedEx be doing something similar? So let's talk about that real quick. Why now? Well, obviously it's before the holidays, and they wanted, and UPS figured out a way to try to capture perhaps more of your business. Why were you not notified earlier? Folks, please do not take a dark conspiracy theory attitude towards this. There was nothing, I have no belief that there was anything but good intentions by UPS in this. I wholeheartedly believe that they are doing this to, of course, improve their bottom line, but in turn, improve your rates and your bottom line. And this was done, this was a help to you. Was done for the benefit of the majority. Having said that, I also know how slow things turn in all big organizations. I'm grateful to be in a relatively small organization. We are now getting into a bigger, but folks, I can tell you, I have worked with these carriers for a number of years, and even minor changes, it has to go through this department and then this department and the bean counters and the lawyers and everything else. By the time they got it all approved, it just was almost right up against the date that they wanted to implement it. So please give them, some leeway there in that. And will FedEx do something similar? I have no idea. I don't even know that FedEx is aware of this change yet. We certainly don't tell FedEx. That's not our job. So when we get this information from carriers, when they do things like that, we have what's called an NDA or non-disclosure agreement, meaning that we have to keep our mouths shut. And that's why I had to not tell you what was going on in the first email that we sent out to you. And then but I didn't want to not have you sign up for a webinar because, guys, this is a rate change and it's not a tiny one. It's a pretty big one. So we needed to be aware of that and what was going on. So we did the best we could with what we had. We were originally going to email the second email on Wednesday, but UPS decided to snail mail those letters to you, and Wednesday was a holiday, so they didn't even get mailed, my understanding, for the most part, until Thursday. So you probably will be getting them some today and some tomorrow. Maybe a few of you will get them on Monday. So we'll just move forward knowing what's going on and that we've got you covered. And we'll explain everything here. PostalMate e-update. This is a little bit unusual. You're very familiar with our regular updates, and you don't see too many e-updates. So this is going to come to you in an e-update, not a regular version update. There's a big difference in the two. So here's the cool thing. You don't have to do anything. There's nothing for you to install. You don't have to do your master workstation and your auxiliaries. It's just going to magically happen on Saturday. Okay. You don't get a choice in it. Well, I suppose if you unplug your computer, but as soon as you plug it in, it's going to be there. So you don't get a choice in it. It's just going to happen. That's kind of cool. We can do e-updates usually on minor data changes. When it's just numbers are easy to change and things. Bigger pieces of data we can't use e-updates for. How will you know it happened? It will happen. Just take my word for it. It will happen. E-updates just don't have a fail. And then, do you need to adjust your rates? You might, and we're going to talk about that in detail. Some of you will, and some of you will not. So we will discuss that. UPS, these are called UPS flat incentives. And what they're doing is they are getting rid of the 10 tier levels they currently have and going to one UPS flat incentive level. All independent stores are on the same level. So you're going to ask me, well, what if I'm not an ASO? Then this doesn't affect you. You have a different rate program. The second question is, we have about 1%. That's way generous. Less than 1% of you that have some custom rates with UPS. So your question is, will this affect me? The answer is, I don't know. Your custom rates, if you have such a program, is between you and UPS, and I do not know if this will affect you or change your status with them. So you will have to contact UPS to get those kind of answers. So your question is this rate change, is it good or is it bad? Um, it's a mixed bag, as you would expect, but for most of you, it's a good change. For some of you, it won't be as good. So we will talk, I will get into some detailed math things that hopefully will not make your head spin. I'll try to present them in a way that even non-math people will be able to understand the gist of it. If you're heavy math people, I probably won't go into it enough, but hopefully you'll be somewhat satisfied. Before we move forward, I want to run a poll. Just do the best you can with this poll. If you have to kind of guess, that's okay. Because this is going to affect it's going to affect to a little bit what I say in the webinar. So I want to know what tier you're on. And again, polls in the webinar program are completely private. I cannot see what you chose. I can just see the numbers, the aggregate numbers that I'm going to show you in just a moment. So please vote, and we're going to close this poll. Again, just guess, and be close to what you are and guess if you have to. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, closing. And just so you know, we have about 300 people right now logged in. And let me share, not all of them will have voted, but I'll share this so you can see. And here we go. And you can see the majority of you easily are on tier 3 and 4. And that's kind of what I would expect. And a bunch of you are on tier 1 and 2. And that's because you find it difficult to give lots of volume to both big carriers, UPS and FedEx. And so you may choose one over the other so that you can get at least more favorable rates with one. That's kind of something that UPS is doing away with this. Now volume doesn't matter. Whether you give UPS one package a week, well, they may not like that, but you know, the idea is, or you give them 1,000 packages a week, these are your rates. So it gets rid of that having to favor one carrier over the other. And I think UPS over the last several years has figured out that they've come out on the short end of that stick by doing the volume requirements. So this will allow you to get good rates with UPS regardless of the volume. And especially if you're on a tier 1, you're going to notice a substantial improvement, even tier 2. So this is good. If you're not an ASO and you just like to watch me flub up on the webinars, kudos to you. Now, if you're not an ASO, bear in mind, PostalMate rates for UPS will not be accurate in any way, shape, or form for you. If you have more questions about that, please email it to support and I will email you back. Don't call because I don't have time to deal with the phone calls through support, but I can write back an email and call you if I need, if I need to explain more. All right, so let me close that poll up. It takes a minute there we go. So are they good or bad? Well, first of all, there's a handout that I created, hopefully the right handout this time. So on your dashboard pane under handouts, there's a UPS discount comparison. What I did was I took the discounts that they have quoted and compared it with the previous tier chart that they had that is valid until this weekend, and kind of estimated what that percentage discount, what tier level it was closest to. And remember, with tier levels, the higher the tier, the better the discount. So we all wanted to be a tier 10, when in reality, we were a tier 1, 2, 3, 4 usually. So the higher the tier, the better the discount. So if you see something on that comparison chart that says tier 8, it was equivalent to about a tier 8, and those are rough estimates, give or take, then that, and you were a tier 4, then you're getting a pretty good improvement on that. However, if it says tier 1 and you were a tier 9, that's a pretty significant unimprovement, train wreck. But we're going to discuss these in detail because there's some areas where the prices were lowered, but I don't want you to panic on those. And there's some prices were increased, and I don't want you to panic. But there's some areas where the prices were lowered that are just phenomenally good. So we'll get into the details, I promise. Hold on to your hat. So first of all, we're going to talk about those of you who are on tier 7 through 10. And that's not the majority of you, but that's plenty of you. And how are these for you? Well, some of the ground, in fact, a lot of the ground is better for you. And there's a few other things. The rest of it is not necessarily better for you, and some a little bit is not as good at all. So we often think of UPS as a ground deliverer. If I quoted that and said that to you, because I really didn't say that, that was your imagination, they would probably get upset. They want to be known as an overall delivery company that ships ground, ships air, ships international. However, let's face it, brown is ground, purple is air. That's what we were taught from our infancy. We grew up on those commercials, and that's still in many times what we think. But ground is a vast improvement with UPS, so I'm really excited about that. If you're a tier, let's see here. Oh, one more. There we go. I always have more than I think I do on these slides. Sorry about that. So the next tier group is tiers 4 through 6. And good news, many of the rates are better than the previous discounts. I think that you'll see some definite improvements to your bottom line. This is fantastic. So we're really excited for you. And then finally, those that are in tiers 1 through 3. And I know I grouped these different than the poll, but I did that for a lot of reasons, math reasons that we won't get into. So for tiers 1 through 3, you're going to see better rates almost across the board, and some of them a lot better. So this is really, really good for you. Let's start with the basics with UPS ground, especially holiday time. We're going to be sending a whole lot of ground out. So we're going to get into some heavy math here. Again, I'll try to make it easier for those. You know, I'm a math person, but my daughter's not a math person. Sorry, Paige. And so if I can explain it so she understands it, then I think, you know, she's artsy. Oh my gosh, I can't draw a straight line. She can draw all kinds of fun things. But anyway, so we're going to talk about the service and the weight, the discount, and what the old tier equivalent was. And so first of all, the UPS ground commercial is vastly improved. It's roughly equivalent to the old tier 10. So you're going to see ground commercial, and then ground, even in the heavier weights, it's equivalent to an old tier 8. So for most of you, I'm going to say 90+% of you, this is a huge improvement. In fact, it is 90% because I only had 9% that were tiers 8 through 10. We're seeing a decrease with ground residential 1 through 20 pounds. However, please don't freak out about this. We're talking pennies here. Your discounts previously were 27%, 27.1%, 27.2%, 27.3%, on and on and on until 27.9%. We're talking at the worst case, if you were a tier 10, you're losing 0.9%. That's 9 cents on every $10. Most of you, we're talking 1 or 2 pennies on every $10. I do not want you freaking out over that. This is not a big deal, even though I made it gray and I made it a 1, which is accurate. This is the only decrease. I just don't want you to even worry about. Just ignore this decrease because it is so minor. And then here's where you get just buku. Residential over 21 pounds, it is better than the tier 10 rates that we had before. You know, that's phenomenal that we're getting better rates than we've ever had before. So this is good news on ground. We're very, very excited about this. The next thing we'll talk about is UPS Air, and we'll do the same thing in detail. So you kind of know in the back of your mind which rates went up and which rates went down for you. So with next day early, it went down. It is a significantly, you know, not so good discount. But let's face it, next day early, we don't do a lot of that. I can tell you from my old store, I maybe did 1 a year, so I'm not overly worried about that. And if they really need it there that early, they'll pay whatever they have to pay. But next day we do. And so for next day, they kind of took the middle ground here. So it was equivalent to about a tier 4.5 or 5.5, depending on the service. So a middling. So if you were on an upper tier before, your discounted is not as good. If you were on a lower tier, your discount is better. If you were in the middle, you're probably the same. Second day went to 6.5. So that's an improvement for most of you. Slight. 3-day select did quite well. So that you will, and these you will notice as it gets closer to Christmas. All right. And then finally, we're going to talk about UPS International and Alaska, Hawaii. And we'll do the same thing. And overall, the discounts went down, which was surprising because my understanding, and what do I know, but my understanding was always that the carriers have great markup in international and lots of room to improve discounts. So these are a bit less than what we've been used to, especially on the upper tiers. I think I want to say on about tier 5 and higher on the old chart, you were at a 60% margin for most of these. Well, not Canada, but for the others, that has gone down a bit. So you might see other carriers have a better rate than UPS on these. Puerto Rico did much better. So particularly stores in the Southeast, Florida, I know sends a lot to Puerto Rico. So you're going to see vastly improved rates there. And then Hawaii, Alaska was better, but early AM again, that early AM thing, they just took away a lot of the discounts, but I'm not over worried about that. I'm much more concerned about the 99% of shipments you ship than the 1% that you ship. So overall, I see a great deal of improvement here on your rates. So this is good. So now how are we going to deal with this? Will this change your rates? Well, it will change your wholesale rates. And the e-update will go in and change your wholesale rates. It'll affect your margins as well. But what you need to understand is we are not changing what you charge the public, which is called the retail price. We're not changing that. And we try very hard to never change that when any rates change. If we do, for some reason, it's usually like a surcharge that's new, then we'll definitely include that. But we just, as a policy here at the company, we don't change what you charge the public. That's your job, not our job. And so let's see how that's going to work. We're going to discuss some math rules, and I'm sorry, but here's the math rule. There are 3 rates we're talking about. We have a wholesale, and we have a margin, and we have the retail price. We know the wholesale is changing. That's what's, the lower costs, or different costs, I should say, that are coming in this weekend. The rule is, and this is a math rule, if you change one of these, it will automatically change one of the others. So if your wholesale price goes up or down, either your margin has to go up or down with it, or your retail price has to go up or down with it. You can't change just one, and you can't change all 3. It is a twofer. So that is the rule. So let me explain how that affects you. If your wholesale price is $5, that's your cost, and your retail price is $10, that's what you charge the public. Clearly, your margin is 50%. We know that. You're not dumb. You get that. That's easy. So let's take what happens with UPS and say that your rates go down, because for a majority of you, it will. So now let's say that same package is now $4. Well, if we keep your margin the same, that means your retail price has to be $8 now. This is what we're not doing. We have no business going in and lowering what you charge the public, because remember, on this one, now you're only making $4. On the previous one, you made $5. We're not in the business of helping you to lose money. So we will not change what you're charging the public. Here's what we are doing on the next screen. Okay. In this case, the wholesale price, let's say it goes down to $4. We're keeping your retail rate at the $10 you currently have it. And that means that your margin is now a 60% margin. So when you change these rates, when the e-update happens, your wholesale price has to change, because that's what UPS is doing. Your retail price, we are making stay the same, so that in the result of that is that it changes your margin. And so you can go in and adjust your prices if you would like. Those of you who have been on tier level 6 and above probably do want to go, especially if you're on 8 or 9 or 10. You may want to go in and adjust your rates, and that's fine. The ones, if you were on a tier 1, 2, or 3, maybe even 4, maybe even 5 or 6, leaving your prices alone, leaving it alone is not a bad thing, but you're going to want to monitor it. So let's talk about how you check what your current margins are in your PostalMate. I want you to go, not right this minute, but on our website, we have this help center, and it's where you can type in things. And I typed in check rates, and there's this quick video. Now, many of you are very familiar with your rates and you know how to check them in PostalMate just fine. But many of you just don't do it all that often, and you kind of forget in between. So this is a quick refresher on how to check your rates. It's 3.5 minutes. You can spare 3.5 minutes to refresh your memory on how to check your rates in PostalMate. And that will walk you through it. Look for the one that says video on the right. Check your shipping rates in video. So many of you have different philosophies, and we have been for 30 years. Okay, that's not true. For 20 something years, we have had often UPS and FedEx in our store. In fact, everybody on this webinar most likely has UPS in your store. You wouldn't have been here. And of those, I'm going to say 99% of you also have FedEx. And you may have been trying to balance the two out so that they're kind of similar in price. That's going to be a little bit harder to do in the future. But for now, if you just don't change your retail price and just leave everything alone and don't make any changes, hey, that's the easy job, right? Your rates will stay the same, and your balance between FedEx and UPS should be maintained after the rate change this weekend. Okay, it's only your cost and margin that will change, but your retail price will stay the same. So UPS and FedEx, if you've been maintaining a balance, and I'm going to tell you, I think that probably 70% of you try to have a balance between FedEx and UPS, so they're similar, so that your customer can make that decision. This is, you're just going to, your action is no action. Just continue business on Monday as usual. Okay. But some of you want to adjust your rates, and so you're going to do that in our rate setting tool. And you're going to just go through the rate setting tool like you normally would. Again, there's videos on our website that can walk you through that. UPS, I'm a little miffed because UPS making this change makes about probably 3 or 4 of the videos wrong because they talk about tier levels with UPS. And of course, there's no more tier levels with UPS. So eventually I'm going to have to go back and make some video changes. But you guys know what I'm talking about at least, and can watch the videos and get the information that you need. So I would say 20 or 30% of you are going to want to adjust your rates. The good news is if you're a tier 7, 8, 9, 10, you've probably been around a while and probably understand how to set your rates and probably have a good handle on this and can do that, as opposed to maybe a newbie or a new store that might be a tier 2, 3, 4 that is less experienced with that. So if you need some assistance, our support team is happy to walk you through setting your rates or checking your rates. They cannot tell you what to set your rates, give you any recommendations, or share with you or confide with you what other stores are charging. They won't do it. So please don't ask that of them. They are computer support technicians, not rate experts. And then the thing I want you to do next week, especially if you take no action, is watch your rates. So in the upper right corner, you have your A, C, and D. Hopefully you have those turned on. And I want you to keep an eye out on that D when you're looking at UPS and FedEx. In fact, frequently start flipping back and forth between those so you can get an eye. You should see your D number on some of these, especially those ground packages, be better than it was. And if you keep a balance between UPS and FedEx, you potentially will see that D number to be better with UPS than with FedEx. And indeed, I do think that's what's going to happen, and that UPS is going to see a bit of an increase this year from these lower rates. And frankly, they should see an increase. We should reward them because they're rewarding us. We do want all of our rates to get less, right? Well, the way to encourage that is to follow it up by giving the carriers more business when they lower our rates. So that's the idea here. You can set this up in our PostalMate settings. So you go to Tools, PostalMate Settings, and then on the left, Shipping Settings. And then you'll see right here, Display of Additional Rates. So if you take a snapshot of that, a screenshot right now, or get your cell phone out and take a picture of this, then you'll know what you're looking for and what has to be in which of these positions. Wholesale, published, and profit in position 1, 2, and 3. And while we're on this page, especially for the holidays, I want to point out your dimensions. I want you to have this selected. There's 3 options. The only one I don't want you to select is do not require DIMMs. The other 2 is fine. One is require DIMMs for services with a DIMM rating, or the other one is always require DIMMs, which is fine too. So I want you to have that turned on so you don't mess up and accidentally not enter DIMMs when you should. All right, and I'm going to go to the next screen and give you a chance to take a snapshot of that if you want in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So the PostalMate changes you're going to see in your ASO or in your UPS carrier setup. You're going to see a new selection called UPS Flat. And in fact, it's there now, but don't go hunting for it. It's there, promise. We snuck it in an e-update. So we snuck in an e-update setting this up, and then you'll be selected to that e-update this weekend, as long as you're on tier level 1 through 10 right now. If you're set to published or you're set to custom, it will not affect you. We will not mandatory change your tier level. But if you're on a tier level 1 through 10, it will. Something important to notice so that you don't freak out. After this weekend, the tiers that are showing up, the 1 through 10, are still going to be there. We're not taking those numbers away right now. Those e-updates we send you can't make a lot of changes in words and things on the screens. Those will be taken off in the regular big update that happens at the end of the year for rate change. Because yes, of course, UPS is still raising their rates at I think they do it the 26th. It's like the day after Christmas this year, or 2 days after Christmas. So yes, there will be a rate increase, and that version change that's where we'll go and clean this up and take the numbers 1 through 10 out. So at that point, it won't look so confusing. And then so the e-update will set you to UPS Flat, and the others will disappear in the next update. Okay, we got done early. Oh my gosh, we got done so early, but you're going to have a lot of questions. So we're going to go to those questions, and I have PostalMate up if we need to look at it. So, and remember, there is no more checking your tier levels. I just got a question, how do I know my tier level? Or how do I check your tier level? As of Saturday, it doesn't matter. You don't have to check your tier level with UPS ever again. If you want to know how to check your FedEx tier level, there's a video of it on our website. We also have a video how to check your UPS tier level, but that video we're going to take down this weekend because there's no sense in having it because there are no more tier levels starting this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and type your questions in. It's a little bit convoluted when I'm trying to look at all the questions because the question and answer pane actually jumps around a lot. And makes it difficult. I'll be reading one and all of a sudden it'll jump to the top because somebody added a new one. So when you see me stumbling a bit, that's why I'm stumbling. Okay, so I'm going to go to the top and see what we've got. UPS, that I'm not aware of, Sam, and I don't even want to repeat that because I don't have any proof of that or can't say anything to that. This information today is for independent stores only, not for any franchises. So this is for independent stores only. Andy was granted ASO status 2 days ago. So you can set up your UPS in PostalMate. There are tech notes on our website to do that. ASO stands for Authorized Shipping Outlet. It is the status that is required by UPS rules in order for you to resell UPS services. You are not permitted by UPS rules to resell UPS services unless you're an authorized shipping outlet. If you do it with a regular account and they catch you, they can and will take away that account and bar you from ever getting another account. Let's see. We scan each UPS package to capture how many we get each day. I always encourage you to do that. And I assume that means for drop-offs. I always encourage you to scan the drop-offs in PostalMate. But remember, in order to get compensation from UPS, you must also scan those in the access point software provided by UPS. They won't accept what we have in PostalMate, and they will not allow us to transfer that data over. We would like to. Okay, Larry, they are for ASOs only. And Mohammed, there's a check mark in station settings that you don't have done. So support can just email support and they'll email you the answer. Scrolling down here. Is there an option to retain the whole dollar margins? No, there's no quick rate setting utility. All we're doing is changing your wholesale prices, which would in turn change your margins. If you want to change your retail prices, that's completely up to you. And the idea is most of us don't want to lower our prices, especially just before Christmas. Yes, they are getting rid of tiers completely. I don't know of any store groups that are going to have tiers any longer. Okay. Am I understanding correctly that if my retail rates are based on markup, when the wholesale rates change, won't my retail change? No. We're not changing your retail rates. We're only changing your wholesale. So that in turn will change your margin. If you want to change your retail rates, then you can go in and reapply your retail rates. So if you don't do anything, then your retail rates will stay the same. For those of you on lower tiers, that's probably exactly what you want. Bear in mind, folks, that our support team is starting to get overwhelmed, and that is because people are starting to dust off their auxiliary computers or computers they bring out only for Christmas. And here's what happens. They bring them out or they set them up. The printers haven't been set up. The PostalMate is almost a year old and has to be updated. It has to fall off the network because there's a version mismatch because it's not the same version as the master station. And all these things are very time consuming if you can't do it yourself and need assistance with that. And we have, let's see, we have 3,100 stores, and I'm going to guess about 2,200 bring out a Christmas computer. And each one of those calls takes anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. So you can see that we get very, very busy. So right now, from now until about the second week in December, support getting back to you is going to be slower. So if you have questions, the best way to get a question answered is to email it, because they can email you back an answer while they're waiting for a computer to update. Also, if you call in or leave a voicemail or an email for that matter, please tell us what the issue is. If you don't tell us the issue, remember, you go to the bottom of the line and it might be tomorrow before you get a call back, because we got everybody else that's giving us the issues that will come in front of you. Is the discount based on dimensional weight as well as actual weight? Yeah, it affects everything. Nothing with dimensional weight has changed. I don't know about prepaid, Sam. Will UPS ever include UPS Simple Rate, their flat rate service? To my knowledge, no, they have not invited us to add that. That was a conscious decision made by UPS when they announced the Simple Rate. I figure, I'm kind of, they don't want it in my system, then I don't want to use it. That's just kind of where I am with it. Is there any news on UPS potentially allowing ASOs to process the Amazon QR codes? No, please don't expect that to ever, ever, ever happen. Ever. Ever. That is not a UPS decision, by the way. Please, again, that is a contract between Amazon and the UPS store. I know that the UPS store is owned by UPS, but please don't think that they always work in tandem. You realize that Taco Bell is owned by Pepsi, but Taco Bell can do something that Pepsi doesn't have any bearing on, right? So they are one company overall, but the UPS store itself runs quite independently. That is, and believe me, the UPS store has no interest in letting us in on that. Can I bring up the screen that said about dim setting. I didn't have anything about dim setting. So I don't know which screen you wanted. Yeah, okay. Oh, Henry. Oh, Henry. He said that screen brings tears to my eyes, like in tear levels. Oh, I have to live with them. You don't. Is this better for non-ASOs? Again, if you're not an ASO, by the UPS rules, you cannot sell UPS services. So I cannot speak to anybody who is not an ASO. I'm a rules girl, so I tell you what the rules are. I'm not telling you that I'm going to come after you. If you're not an ASO and you want to sell UPS and do it against the rules, I have nothing to say about that. I'm just going to quote the rules, and that's you do what you want to do. Do you expect FedEx to follow suit with their tier levels? I get it approved, have the B approve it, have legal approve it, get the information to us so that we have time to put it in an update and get it out. That's a lot. I don't know, but they could try. I have no idea. Does this change no longer charge for address corrections? My understanding is correct that no changes have been made to any surcharges, add-ons, or those other things. So, does anybody know how this rate compares to the rates of the UPS store franchises? Well, I haven't done a direct comparison, but I can tell you that for the most part, the UPS stores still get a little bit better rates. Not on all of it though, but for the most part they do. But remember, they are restricted from selling the services for higher than the published or the retail published rate. So you can charge whatever you want to the public, they cannot. So their profit, while their cost might be lower, their profit is most likely lower than yours. If I'm not an ASO, again, then you should not be on a tier level. This does not affect you if you're not an ASO. Make sure that you're on version, let me pull my PostalMate, 11.10 or higher, 11.10 point something, point anything, in fact, 11.10, yeah. You can find that in help and about in your PostalMate. If you're not on that version, that's why you would not get this update and you would be messed up for the holidays. So make sure that you are updated. Do. That shows we are. Illinois is probably closing again due to the virus. Is there a note anywhere in PostalMate that we can post that shows we are essential? No, we are your shipping software. We would not be providing you with information like that. That would be a job of one of the associations in the industry. Please contact ambc.org or RS Associates, which is rscentral.org. No. Tier level. If my FedEx tier level is a 6, but I have it set at a 3, am I actually losing money? Set your tier levels to what you really are, and then you won't have a problem. That's a conundrum I'd have to actually think about a little bit. If you're really a 6 and you're set to a 3, no, you're not losing money, but why wouldn't you want PostalMate to accurately reflect things? If you need to increase your margins, then just increase your margins. So after Saturday, we will no longer have tier numbers at all. That's correct. There will still be some numbers in PostalMate. Those will go away in December in the big update. But you will all be set to that are on a tier level now will be set to UPS flat tier. And is UPS still accepting applications to become an ASO? Yes, they are, but there are some pretty strict rules. One of which, and the big one, is that you can't be within X number of miles to a UPS store. And they don't want you to be very close also to another ASO. So those are two of the restrictions. So if you have a UPS store 4 blocks down the road, forget it. You're never going to be an ASO. Yeah, nothing from FedEx. Again, I don't know that they know about it. Yes, Rodrigo, this is recorded, and we will be sending you a link to rewatch this or part of it if you like. Was this change driven by Amazon possibly becoming another shipping option? I have no idea that that would be true. I am under the belief that UPS did it to whisk away some of the Christmas volume from FedEx and to undercut something that isn't even or even in existence anymore or yet. And I don't know that Amazon will necessarily become a real shipper for the public or for us. They may in the future, but I have no information about that. It makes sense that once they become fully independent of other carriers and can carry all their own packages, that they might open it up to either companies, organizations, or the public. But I don't know that that's true. And by the way, when they open it up to the public, they come under a whole nother set of governmental rules they have to follow that they don't currently have to follow now. So there's a lot of reasons they would not become open to the public. My understanding, when will the e-update go into effect this weekend? My understanding is this weekend. Is that vague enough? I believe it's set for late Saturday. And e-updates generally happen when you reopen PostalMate, so when you relaunch it. So on Monday morning. And don't freak out. Don't say, oh my gosh, I've got packages that are going to be going that I do on Saturday that aren't going out until Monday. I have to have it for. No, you don't. It's not that big of a deal financially. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. How do we keep retail price for FedEx and UPS similar to each other? If they are similar to each other now, then just don't make any changes after this e-update. Starting in the new year with the new changes for, let's just say I have my work cut out for me when the rates change at the end of the year to try to teach you how to maintain that balance, or if it's even possible with all these new changes. It might not be possible after the rates change in December because of the way that everything changes, but we will certainly take a look at that. I confused somebody. I'm so sorry. Let me read what he says. I indicated that, okay, so this has to do with margins. And so we will not change your retail price, but when we change your wholesale price, it will change your margin. So yes, this update will change your wholesale price and your margin. It won't touch what you charge the public. Okay, hopefully that's clear now. Tears for fears. Henry, you're fired. So again, as you're pulling out these old computers, remember that Windows 7 is no longer supported. We are seeing some errors in PostalMate with Windows 7 computers. If you have one that you want to use for Christmas and want to try to set it up, you can. You're going to be more on your own than you have in the past. There may be things that we cannot do to help you set it up or won't have the ability to do. You may see some errors in it that we cannot clear up and we cannot make changes on. So this might be a good time of year to get, new computers or think about it. I'm not going to tell you you cannot set up a Windows 7 for an auxiliary station for Christmas. You absolutely can. But we do want you to think, let me just put it this way. This should be the last year that you use Windows 7 for any workstation. Next year, you should be Windows 10 on everything. And in fact, rumor has it that Windows will be coming out with Windows 11 next summer. We will support Windows 8 until Microsoft stops supporting it, Windows 10 until Microsoft stops supporting it, and Windows 11 until Microsoft stops supporting it. Oh, lost sound. I froze, lost video feed, froze. Oh my gosh. So I'm sorry about that. Am I back? Somebody tell me if I'm back. Oh, wait. I have to actually roll down here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Do you need to manually apply the update? Nope. Automatic. Happens when you launch PostalMate. It's like magic. It's like all of a sudden Monday morning it's going to be perfect. So don't worry about it. Let's see. If FedEx didn't know, they do know now. Probably true. I'm sure many of you are close to your FedEx reps, and I will let them know. That's okay. UPS expects that. You guys are not under any agreement to not disclose this information. And in fact, I could now, but I won't. Um, when will, thank you, Jim. When will PostalMate add rates for Acme Delivery Company? Signed, Wile E. Coyote. We're getting a little loony for Christmas here, aren't we? Okay. You were about to announce the new carrier this week. When is it going to be announced? No, there's no new carrier. It's a new carrier change, and this is what the new carrier change is. You're welcome, Lynn. The recording on this should be available in about 3 to 4 hours after we finish, maybe a little sooner. These rates will, on average, UPS rates will be lower than the FedEx rates. I believe that to be true, but it entirely depends on what tier level you're on with FedEx. So I think that for the most part, and I have not done a direct new UPS rate to FedEx comparison, but I believe that you will see, particularly in ground, that UPS will beat FedEx. In air, especially if you're on a tier 3, 4, or 5 with FedEx, I think in air that FedEx may still beat UPS. So you watch those numbers and those A, C, and D numbers, especially that D number. But watch those numbers and you can let me know. But I do think that UPS ground in particular, you're going to see a better wholesale rate than FedEx. Is Access Point the same as an ASO? No, Access Point is specifically for package drop-off and pickups purposes for UPS. You can be an Access Point location without being an authorized shipping outlet. You cannot be an authorized shipping outlet without being, to some level, an Access Point, maybe only for drop-offs. So they work together, but they are not. They can be exclusive to some degree. Okay, it's the scrolly thing is bouncing up and down. I'm so sorry. No, I'm not giving away a Hubman. Why? Because I'm mean. It's a wild one, Mr. Grinch. Okay. Anita, I'm going to email you a link so you can watch it. All right. Okay. I think I got everything. Folks, this is my last webinar before Christmas, so I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Be safe and be happy. Be close to your family. This Christmas, above all Christmases, is a time to reunite with your family. Let bygones go. Let go of anger and pain from the election, from your community, or whatever is hurting you. Heal and be happy. That's my message to you. Whatever religion you are, whatever faith you have, whatever you believe in, I wish you the very best this Christmas season. I always get a little misty this time of year because of the support you folks give me each year. I can't, when I get do a webinar and like this one, and I have 700 stores sign up, and then I put the recording up, and I might have 400 watch it live, and then I'll have 600 that watch it, which means I get 1,000 of you total watching. It warms my heart that my work is successful and that you're reaping a reward for that, because I work so hard at these guys. I really do. And so I want you to know that I believe in you, and I'm grateful that you seem to believe in me. Thank you very much. And I hope that you have, we will be having a webinar at the end of the year for the rate change. It will probably, I can't tell you it'll be before or after Christmas. It kind of depends on how that works, but it'll be right around that last week of December. And we'll send you a notification of that. Again, this webinar is being recorded, and you should receive a link later today. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Take care. Bye-bye.